Welcome to the Global Investor Podcast, a show that focuses on helping foreign investors enter the lucrative U.S. real estate market. Host Charles Carillo combines decades of real estate investing experience with a professional background in international banking to interview experts in all areas of U.S. real estate investing. Now, here's your host, Charles Carillo.
Welcome to another episode of the Global Investors Podcast. I'm your host, Charles Carillo. Today we have James Wise. James is the co-founder and CEO of Holt & Wise. He oversees the sales and media departments at Holt & Wise while also hosting several popular shows on Holt & Wise TV. He is regularly ranked as the #1 selling realtor of rental property in the Cleveland, Ohio market and works with many long-distance and international investors by running a full-service real estate investment and management company. So how's it going today, James?
Hey, not bad, Charles. Thanks for having me on the show, man.
Yeah, thank you very much for being on, and I'm happy that we could get together. And I want to get a little information. What's your background prior to you guys co-founding your current company, Holt & Wise, or one of your current companies?
I've always been in sales. I did a little bit of everything. I did invisible fences for like dogs. I trained dogs on the fences. I worked at Radio Shacks. I got into real estate at a fairly early age, so I didn't have like a long career trajectory prior to this. I bought my first home at 21 years old. Essentially getting into rental real estate was pretty much what I always wanted to do. So just like a string of, menial sales jobs till I was able to acquire enough capital to get my own thing going.
Oh, cool. Now, your company handles all aspects of the real estate business, buying, selling, managing. You even do mortgages, insurance, and I believe you have a title company as well that you guys focused on. Now, that's all tailored for investors, so they have a one-stop shop after purchasing a property through you guys, they can do everything?
Yeah, one-stop shop, man. The idea is essentially, if you're a real estate investor or you're looking to invest in real estate, you can come to, our platform essentially. And, the very first thing we like to do is we like to educate you, right? And then from there, we offer, a la carte services of any and everything you could need. So if you wanted, you could literally go from like being a guy who's like, oh, real estate investing sounds cool. And then that's like the entire base of knowledge you have. We're able to take you from like that point all the way to the end of your investment career to where you want to sell the property back and exit the business. And we can handle every step of the process. Or you could, come in and you could do steps 1, 2, and 3, and then go elsewhere for 4, 5, 6, come back for 7, 8, etc. So education is where the whole thing starts. And then from there, we're able to, take investors and give them everything. We'll do top to bottom in the Cleveland market. Other markets like Birmingham, Alabama, Memphis, Tennessee, Indianapolis, other like popular turnkey markets for investors, we will set them up with other people that have to do a few of those steps because we are local to Cleveland, Ohio. So we're physically on the ground. Like we are I'm physically standing in the Cleveland, Ohio area right now. But those other markets, we have ground partners who can handle some of those steps.
Awesome. Yeah, that was one of the questions I had. Now, I saw Cleveland, Ohio, and I saw a couple other market analysis that you had on there. So Cleveland, you're 100%, you do all parts of it. In Birmingham, Memphis, I'm not sure the other markets you mentioned. You guys, what part of the process do you handle in those?
Yeah. So for Cleveland, yeah, it's everything. Like if you come to my channel, I educate you and you decide that Cleveland's the market for you, we can sell you the property. We will handle your property management. We will handle your insurance. We will handle the maintenance. So like if your toilet is clogged, my team will, actually physically fix that. We will sell the property again when you're ready to exit out of the market or 1031 or something larger. If you're interested in one of our other markets, and title work too. We can handle title work. We're licensed to do title in all of Ohio. Now, if you're looking at other markets, it's going to slightly vary. Of course, we're first going to set you up with education. And then from there, if you're looking for, say, Birmingham, we'll set you up with a vendor who can sell you the property, handle the property management. We're able to insure in multiple states. If we can't insure in that specific state, we'll set you up with a vendor that can. And then we allow them to take it from there. So anything that, needs to have like a physical, actual on the ground thing in the other markets, we'll set you up with someone. We only have physical office locations in Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay. Cool. And the percent of buyers that are investors, is it the majority of what you work with is investors?
That's all we do. That's all we do. It's 100% investor focused company. Like, the reason the company started, we didn't even Holt & Wise was not originally even intended to be, what it is today. Originally, I told you I wanted to get into rental real estate, right off the jump. I was 21 years old when I bought my first home. I found out that you could, obtain a loan, right? Someone else is going to give you money. You could buy an asset and then someone else is going to pay off that loan for you. As soon as I heard that, I'm like, dude, sign me up. That's what I want to do. So I hooked up with my business partner, John. He's been a contractor for over 20 years. So I'm a sales guy. He's a contractor guy. Sales, marketing, physical contracting, right? It's everything you need. That's the competitive advantage. So we spent all of our money. We built up our own management portfolio. And then from there, what we wanted to do is our attempt was to actually just raise private capital. We were attempting to raise private capital because we knew we were on something, right? Like, we're coming out of like the biggest recession, right? This is during the biggest recession in the US, right? So the prices are like cheap, bare bottom stuff. So the returns we're making on these rentals, it's intense. And, we're clever guys. We understood that, out in LA or out in New York or, across the ocean, there's a lot of markets that you could not purchase properties for the prices we were purchasing them and, get the type of rental returns we were getting. So we attempted to raise private capital through creating a website and showing people what we were doing. And we hit a wall, right? We hit a huge brick wall and nobody wanted to, loan us any money. We assumed that, we could just give you a fixed rate and then you would want to lend us money, but that didn't happen. But what we found was everyone was intrigued by what we were doing. They were intrigued by our product, but they wanted direct ownership. They wanted to own the company. So the light bulb kind of went off in our head. And that's when we started offering the property management services. And then it kind of expanded from there. So, after we're selling them the property, handling the property management, that we realized there's things these investors need. They need insurance. So that's when we, created an insurance company. They needed title, this, that, and the other. So that's how it all got started. And we expanded it that way and just built it up from there.
Now, the properties that you sell, are any of them turnkey? I didn't see that phrase at all. Or is it just their properties and then you'll handle any type of renovation that's required to get them up to rent ready, I guess you would say?
Any and everything. Like, I want to talk about the word turnkey, right? Like you have this is why I think the most important piece to this whole pie, right, is the educational aspect. That's why I got this studio. That's why we're so big on Holton Wise TV. That's why, we pump out so much content. You get a lot of investors that are just confused by the industry. They're confused by messages that are going out. Like, you get investors that, you'll present to them a property, you'll present a video tour of the property, you'll explain everything that's going on with the property, the age of the roof, the exact condition of the property. You'll show them everything. And then they'll like watch all that content and they'll be like, wait, Charlie, is this a turnkey property or not? Like, what do you mean, is it or is it not a turnkey? I just presented to you the value. I think a lot of folks out there putting out mixed messages of what is or is not a turnkey, right? Guys, a house is a house. Turnkey is specifically, all it is a marketing term for a particular property, and it's a company that acquires properties that would make good candidates for rentals. They typically rehab them to a rent-ready condition, sometimes placing a tenant prior to offering them to you for sale, and then after you buy it from them, they'll handle the property management services. But that's really all it is. Turnkey is like, by its definition, like that's really what it is. It's more of like the process, right? So to your question of like, are the properties turnkey? We offer a smorgasbord of everything, right? Like, you go to our show. We sell all of our properties on a show on Holton Wise TV. It's called the Investment Properties for Sale Show. I send that out to everybody at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and that's how you purchase properties from Holton Wise. And in that show, I will, stand in my studio right here, and I will explain to everybody exactly what's going on with that property. And it's whatever, right? Some of them are turnkey. Some of them are going to come to you completely rehabbed, and they're going to have tenants in place, and you could, buy that. Some of the deals are going to be like, what we like to call a BRRRR deal. I'm sure a lot of your followers have heard what a BRRRR deal is. If they hadn't, it's buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat, right? So it'd be a beat down property. So we could send you that property, we'll explain to you, we're giving you the video tours, telling you what you're buying. We're like, hey, this property is a little beat up. Here is the bid that it's going to cost to get it renovated. This is how much we're going to rent it for. And then we could do that turnkey service. So I like to say it's turnkey and more, right? It's really whatever you're looking for, because our following is so large. We got folks that want to go this way. We got folks that want to go this way. We got folks that want to go this way. So we really try to appease with a broad range of products and services to kind of, appeal to every investor.
What kind of types of properties do you see your investors usually interested in purchasing? Is it single family? Is it small multifamily?
Well, like I said, everyone is interested in something different. I would say probably the most popular type of investment, the thing that attracts people to a turnkey type market like a Cleveland, Ohio, would be the lower value properties. So your single families and your small multifamilies. I would say overwhelmingly the most popular product that appeals to the highest number of investors would be like a B or a C class multifamily asset. Now, when I say multifamily, I mean a small multifamily. That's going to be a 2 to 4 unit property. Anything that is going to be 5 units or above, that is not going to be considered a small multifamily. Yes, it's like a 7-unit apartment building would be a multifamily property in the technicality that multiple families are living there. But from a real estate financing standpoint, that's considered a commercial property. And commercial real estate financing is a little bit different than your residential financing. And small multifamily properties, they fall under that residential financing. So when you get residential financing, folks, that's like a 30-year mortgage, fixed low interest. That's the best type of financing you can get in the world. And that can be purchased with residential properties in the 1 to 4 unit range. So what I found the majority of folks are looking for, they're looking to get as many rental income checks as possible, which would be 4, because that's the max, while fitting that with that financing product.
Okay. When a new investor comes to you guys, they looked over, they've listened to some of your videos, they've gone through your education department. What do you consider the next step for someone that comes in there when you're speaking to them and they're interested in buying, they have some funds available? How does the conversation go with that? What are the steps to start? Let's say long distance investors that aren't anywhere near involved, that are located in Ohio?
Yeah, the majority of the people are long distance, right? Just based on the fact that, Cleveland is a very, very small, market in the grand scheme of the entire world. So there's obviously more money outside than this tiny little thing inside. And we offer a very transparent buying process. Everything is out there. Everything's publicly available. So the first step, of course, is to subscribe to our mailing list. And then every single day at 1:00, we are going to send you the properties, and then you're able to then just click on the properties that we send you in that email every single day for more information. And then right there, everybody gets the exact same email. It's a complete breakdown of exactly what you need to do to purchase that property. It's a breakdown of every single step. So if you're interested in a property, so you're watching this show right now, everyone's like, oh man, I'm watching Charles' show. This guy James, he sounds like he's got a cool product. You would go to our website, holtonwise.com. You would click sign up now. You would receive an introductory letter explaining to you how we sell things, what we buy, how you can buy from us. And then every day you're going to get our offerings. You see an offering you like, you're going to click on that offering, click more information. We're going to send you exactly how you can bid on that property. We're going to send you the exact steps, and we're going to include video tutorials of every step of the process. So it's very robust, and it's all available. It's widely available. There's no mystery here. You could even go to our FAQ, and we're actually going to give you a free downloadable copy of our property management agreement. Anybody who's listening to the show right now can see that, and that will go over my entire management agreement, and it will show you to the penny everything I'm going to charge you and the exact amount I will charge you to do said item.
Cool. That's awesome. Yeah, it's pretty well spelt out. What do you ever suggest them to come and take a look at any of the neighborhoods that they're investing in? Or, is that anything that you say, hey, come down, you should see the area you're buying in? Or is it you grade them out and it's, hey, this is a C+, this is a B-, this is a C, and that's kind of...
We would never discourage someone for wanting to come to the neighborhood. I think it's a good idea if folks want to fly out to the Cleveland market and check out everything, on the ground themselves. We would never discourage them. The way our product is set up, we offer folks the ability to do everything that they would like to do remotely. And that's why we do the video tours. I produced something called The Ultimate Guide to Grading Cleveland Neighborhoods. I've also since went on to produce this document in other markets as well. So if it's a market where I have ground partners, I work with them. And what it is, I graded every neighborhood in the Cleveland market on an A to F scale, right? A would be the least risky, F is the most risky. I said earlier, we were talking, the most popular product seems to be in the B and the C type neighborhoods. Like A neighborhoods, those are like your wealthy, affluent suburbs, right? Most of you guys that are located several hundred miles away from Cleveland, you're not looking at our A grade suburbs because you could just buy that type of stuff in your own backyard. You're usually drawn to, Midwestern cities in the USA like Cleveland for the B and the C stuff, right? but there's an inherent level of risk that comes with that. And as the grade goes down, the risk goes up. So what I like to do is I like to grade, I put out that grading scale, and I like to really demonstrate that to people, because I'm not one of those guys. And I see other guys on the internet, they'll do this all the time. They'll be like, oh, you got to buy this property. It's $50,000. It's going to rent for $1,200 a month. But they're going to not explain to you, all the risk factors that are involved with keeping that value of that property down. Because, if you could buy a $50,000 property that's renting for $1,200 a month, or you could buy a property for $100,000 that's renting for $1,200 a month, if these properties are, 100% equal, everybody in the world, of course, would want to buy the $50,000 property. But, you and I both know that they are not necessarily equal. There is a reason the other property, even though the rents are the same, is got a value of double. And that's because the location, it's in a nicer area. And what you get when you get a nicer area, you're going to get better school districts. Better school districts are going to lead to more stable tenants. That's going to lead to a neighborhood that's got less crime. There's a lot less issues. So the most important thing, and this is why it's never discouraged for investors to fly into the areas, you got to see what you're comfortable with. So what I like to do, I like to present, the risk factors of every neighborhood to the investors and allow the investors to match themselves with the level of risk that they're comfortable with. And I'm not about showing just the good stuff either, Charles. I'm sure you've probably already seen it, but you know about the Tennis from Hell show, am I right?
Yeah.
The Tennis from Hell show, that's a show. You guys want to check that show out. I show you guys the worst shit in the world that could happen, right? I've got a huge rental portfolio. We have sold over $125 million worth of rental real estate in the Cleveland market alone, guys. So I've dealt with thousands of tenants through the years, and I've seen the worst stuff you can imagine. I've had cars set on fire, people throwing furniture out third-story windows, theft, arson, murder, suicide, drug overdose. I've seen it all. I document it all, and I put it on that show. So if you're out there and you're thinking, whoa, look at all these $50,000 properties that rent for $1,200. Screw these $100,000 properties. You have to understand there's a certain level of risk, and I document all of that, and I want you guys to see all of that, because the worst thing any out-of-state investor could do is buy a property without doing the proper due diligence, understanding exactly what they're getting themselves into.
Yeah. No, in those market overviews, I was looking over the one from Alabama, Birmingham, and then also the one from Cleveland. So they're very in-depth, and they're right on your website. I'll link to them below as well afterwards. Now, obviously, you handle all the marketing, and you're a fantastic marketer. I mean, your online presence,
thanks,
you guys
man. I appreciate
have like
that.
20,000 subscribers on YouTube. Tell us about Holton Wise TV. And you have like an MLS search show, analysis show, Tenants from Hell, we just talked about, Landlords from Hell, which is something I watch, part of the Ask James Wise show and House Flipping show. So
yeah. Okay, cool. So as you and I have been discussing in depth, right? The main show of Holton Wise TV, the main thing where investors can go and they can purchase our properties, that's the Investment Properties for Sale show, right? And then, of course, I just discussed with you guys the Tenants from Hell show. As I mentioned at the top of your show, education to me is the biggest thing, right? Education. We want to educate folks, right? Like the main crux of what we do is teaching investors how to be better investors. So because of that, we offer a wider range of shows outside of those two shows mentioned. The Landlords from Hell show, right? Because we have the Tenants from Hell show, but hey, let's be fair. Not every landlord out there is actually good at being a landlord. And as being a property manager, running thousands of tenants, we're right in the middle. So we see a bunch of on the tenant side, but hey, we also see a bunch of on the owner side too. And, just nationwide, there's a lot of folks that are incurring bad landlords. So if you're a horrible tenant, we're going to call you out on it. And we're going to demonstrate your story of bad behavior. But if you're a terrible landlord, we will do the same. So that's that show, the House Flipping show. In addition to my, various businesses that we've discussed thus far, I also made a lot of my money that really got me started flipping homes. So flipping homes is a passion of mine. So, we created a show just for investors to see how they want to flip houses. Because, I found as a real estate entrepreneur, there's a lot of different ways to make money in real estate, and I'm interested in most of them. And I think a lot of people out there are interested in a lot of them. So, we're appealing to a broad audience. So the House Flipping show, we're not selling you anything on that show. We're not offering to flip houses for you or anything of that nature. It's simply an educational show. And we'll either present projects that we have flipped here here, and we will give you before and after footage as well as a numerical breakdown of everything. So it's kind of like what you see on HGTV, but we really like to go in a little bit deeper, right? We don't have kind of like staged arguments or staged drama with a husband and wife. It's just myself and our crew, right? It's no spouses necessarily. It's not that dynamic. What we choose to, really, grind our teeth in is the acquisition costs. How did you market to acquire the property? What were the holding costs? What were the renovation costs? What were the selling costs? Things that they leave out on HGTV. Yeah. So we'll do that on our own projects, and we'll also interview other investors across the world who've done their own deals. And, we like to teach folks. The MLS Search and Analysis Show, that's a pretty popular show on Holton Wise TV. Thank you for asking me about that one. That show is cool. As I mentioned, we'll send you our properties that we're selling you guys every day on our Investment Properties for Sale show at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. But Holton Wise, we're one company, right? Being fair, there's over 5,000 other realtors in this particular market. And we are the number one seller of rentals in this market. But, there's 5,000 other realtors, Charles. So there's a lot more investment properties that are available that would make great investments. And I don't want investors to miss out on that. So investors have the opportunity through that show to engage Holton Wise in assisting them purchase any property out there on the market that, we are not selling. So, you could purchase your own video analysis of any property that you saw in the Cleveland market, and you'll get a full unbiased analysis on that particular property from me. Because yes, there are 5,000 other realtors, but, let's face it, the majority of folks in the real estate business, as far as realtors go, they're looking to sell properties to folks who want to live there, right? They're driving mom, dad, 2.5 kids, 1 dog, white picket fence. That's not what I do. I don't do that at all. I would never drive a family around to show them a house that they want to live in. I would blow my brains out. It's not the business I'm in. But that's what 99% of the other realtors out there are in. So, I find you'll get a lot of realtors that 99% of their business is, pure owner-occupied suburban business. But every once in a while, somebody that they sold a home, a family home to in like one of the A-class suburbs, maybe they had a C-class rental that they acquired somehow and they want to get rid of it. So you'll find a lot of those properties listed on the market by those types of agents. But investors need more. You guys need to dive deeper. There's things about that property that you need to know that those types of agents are usually not equipped to handle. Like, you want to ask them questions about the property and they're like, oh, well, we have a spacious living room. We have spacious bedrooms. It's a nice layout, this, that, or the other. You guys don't care about that. What you guys want to know is, how much is it going to rent for? How old are the big ticket items? Is that furnace going to last me another 10 years? Is that going to go out anytime soon? If the furnace does go out, how much money do I have to spend? I need to know what type of numbers I'm going to put in my spreadsheet so I can calculate my cap rate, my cash on cash return, things of that nature. What's the neighborhood like? What is... if I purchase this property, if I purchase 5 of these properties and I put tenants in them, what's the likelihood I'm going to have to evict some of those tenants, right? These are things that those type of realtors are not equipped to answer for you guys. But we are, because, this is all we do. It's a very unique product in this marketplace, and we don't really have much competition in that way. So we don't want to exclude you guys from all that stuff. So that's what that show is. And then rounding it out, Ask James Wise show, super simple show. You guys got questions about real estate, you send them in, I make videos answering them, and that's it.
Cool. What kind of properties do you like holding yourself for long term?
I go to the bigger properties, right? But it's important to note that I'm in a different stage of my investment career. It's like, personally, me, I'm not interested in purchasing anything that falls under that residential financing anymore. But that does not mean, because I do that everyone listening to the show, I'm not telling you to do that. In my opinion, this is what I think. If you're living in the United States of America, now I know there's a lot of you out there that are not in the United States of America, and that will change your investing strategy slightly, because folks in the U.S. have one type of advantage that you folks out of the U.S. don't have, and that's that residential financing that we touched on earlier. The downside to that is you can only get 10 of those mortgages. So I think the first mortgage, you burn that on your own home. Take care of home base first. That leaves you at 9 30-year mortgages you can get, right? Traditional residential financing. I think investors should purchase those 9 properties first, whether it be 1, 2, 3, or 4 units. Obviously, if possible, it'd be nice to get 4 times 9. What is that, Charles? It's like about 36, right? 36 units versus 9 units, 36 rental income checks. But 4 units are not always readily available on the market. So you may get some duplexes and singles, or, however you want to slice that. But I think an American investor should hit those 9 mortgages first, and then they need to move up to the commercial stuff. And that's where I'm at in my investing career. So I'm not interested in anything small, because if you can't really get financing, it's not the best idea to buy small stuff. So you want to buy the bigger stuff. Now, you folks outside of the USA, you're not going to be able to qualify for that standard 30-year stuff, but that's okay. There are still lenders, like what is it, TBD Bank, right? That's a lender. They're out of Canada. They loan to a lot of folks in a lot of different countries. And I got a couple other lenders that I know of. I can get that referral list out to your listeners if you want me to, Charles. That's something that those folks can lend to folks overseas. But if, you're not able to get like super good financing, I'd want to go with the bigger properties.
Yeah. I've usually seen it before. It's 30% plus is a down payment that you're usually putting down for international investors on that 1 to 4, which obviously is 10% more than what a normal US based investor with W-2s, pay stubs and stuff can get. As I understand it, obviously there might be different lenders doing different things. But I was looking as well, you do a lot of coaching and mentoring. How did you get started in doing that? Because that goes all hand in hand with your whole education program that you guys offer for free on your site.
Yeah, that's just kind of something that we fell into happenstance as well. When you're building a company like we've built, the biggest thing, right, it's education. And, we really did it just to fulfill a need in all reality. We would just get folks that would just, to be honest, like I get invited for a coffee, 10 times a day, right? And obviously I have a business to run, and, taking folks out for coffee or getting folks to buy me coffee 10 times a day doesn't actually keep the lights on around here, doesn't pay my staff, doesn't, pay for my wife to go to Target. So all of that stuff, pay for my kids' toys, things of that nature. So we didn't want to say no, right? We didn't want to just shut the door on all those folks. But I have a business to run, so I can't just answer your questions all day. So we offer those products. We try to put as much of the information that folks are going to want out there publicly and try to give as much away as we can for free. But at the same time, we still need to produce revenue. So, when we give that information out for free, it's got to go on a show so multiple people could watch it, because I can't tell you that 100 times. And on top of that, we need to earn ad revenue off of that show. So we found that there was still folks who just wanted more, and they wanted to engage deeper on a more personal level. So we didn't want to shut the door on those folks. But of course, we need to get an ROI for our time. So that's how we created the personalized coaching products.
That's awesome. Well, it's great. How can listeners learn more about yourself and Holton Wise? And I'll put all the links in all the podcasts and YouTube descriptions in the notes.
You guys should just go to our website, HoltonWise.com, and that's where you'll be able to sign up for our mailing lists. And that'll also take you to Holton Wise TV, which is our channel on YouTube. And you just want to subscribe to that and keep watching. There's typically, between our website and the multiple facts we have, or all of the video content on Holton Wise TV, there's typically an answer for most everything you're trying to ask. And if there isn't, as discussed, we have the Ask James Wise show, or we do have those coaching products available if you'd like to go a little bit deeper, get a little bit of one-on-one contact with myself.
Yeah, your online, your YouTube is very in-depth, probably one of the most in-depth ones I've ever seen. So that can answer, someone's going to spend the time going through it, they can probably get mostly all their questions answered. So that's awesome. It's a great way of doing it.
There's really no secrets in this business, right? That's just my thing. What's more important to me is education, right? And that don't mean I'm like the nicest guy in the world. I'm just out here like, I just want to help and educate everybody. Like, I'm getting paid. I don't do anything unless I'm getting paid. But, I found a way to get paid by giving out free information that I think is high quality. And, that's ultimately our biggest goal, is to just create a base of loyal investors, loyal viewers who are gaining extreme value from the content we're providing and just learning how to be better investors. So we'll get paid on the back end via ad revenue and things of that nature. So because of that, it is our number one goal and priority to educate you guys, to give you guys a reason to keep coming back.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, James, for taking the time out of your busy day to get on with us. And I will put everything in the bottom of the email or bottom of the podcast notes and everything, so everybody can easily check into those and visit you if they have any questions.
All right, Charles. Thanks for having me on, man.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you for listening to the Global Investor Podcast. If you like the show, be sure to subscribe on iTunes or Google Play to get new weekly episodes. For more resources and to receive our newsletter, please visit globalinvestorpodcast.com. And don't forget to join us next week for another episode.
Nothing in this episode should be considered specific, personal, or professional advice. Any investment opportunities mentioned on this podcast are limited to accredited investors. Any investments will only be made with proper disclosure, subscription documentation, and are subject to all applicable laws. Please consult an appropriate tax, legal, real estate, financial, or business professional for individualized advice. Opinions of guests are their own. Information is not guaranteed. All investment strategies have the potential for profit or loss. The host is operating on behalf of Harborside Partners Incorporated exclusively.